Over 1,700 new millionaires are created every single day in the US alone, and more than double that across the globe. They're people from all walks of life, most of them people just like you and I. So the big question is this: how are so many people who didn't inherit money or have any special advantages overcoming the odds and becoming millionaires? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jeff Lerner, and welcome to Millionaire Secrets. Welcome back to another episode of Millionaire Secrets. This is Jeff Lerner, your host and most appreciative fan. I say that as me, a fan of you, the audience, the people who make this so fun to do and even possible. I am joined today by a really good friend of mine, which I always love when I can bring friends on the show and basically just catch up with friends and get to call it work. I'm joined by Dion McIntosh, who is a former Disney pop star turned serial entrepreneur. He's the co-creator of Dear Amy, which is the world's most successful Amy Winehouse stage show, with his wife, who is the Amy Winehouse star of the show and is flippin' amazing. I can tell you that. He's also the co-founder of EIR, a hardware tech startup. We're going to talk about that. And how I know him is, aside from just being a great human that I count as a friend, he's the founder and CEO of Bad People, which is a Los Angeles-based human brand development company that I actually worked with when I was kickstarting this crazy vision of mine to start Entre Institute and everything that I'm doing now. And if I'm any bit of evidence, he's really damn good at what he does, because my business has blown up since working with him. Dion, my friend, welcome to Millionaire Secrets.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited, and I love that we get to catch up here in this way. And kudos to you, brother. You've been kicking some ass since last time we spoke.
You know, I'm a product of my influences, man. So thank you too. But yeah, it really is pretty cool that, like, this is, if somebody was like, Jeff, write down a list of 5 conversations you'd love to have in your downtime, one of them would be catch up with Dion. So now we get to like call it work and even like possibly somehow get paid for it. It's like pretty crazy, right? But anyways, man, so we were actually talking before I hit record, just because it was like inevitable. As soon as we got on the same line, we were going to just go right into catching up. And I was like, oh dude, we got to like hold that and let's hit record and start the show and pick up the conversation. And I think it's a great place to start with for the audience, because it's so, what we were talking about is so intrinsic to the reality of the entrepreneur. And we were basically talking about how, like, it's this weird dichotomy of belief and humility, where like you go through, you know, you have to attack everything you do as an entrepreneur like it's the one.
Yeah.
It's the one, and it's kind of almost like relationships, right? Like throw your heart into it, love fully, love open, love like you've never been hurt before.
That's right.
But just know, like, it might not hurt, it might not work out, and it might hurt like hell, and you might, but it's the same way with businesses for entrepreneurs, man. You got to believe everyone is the one, and then take your lumps and then go into the next one like it's the one. And what you carry with you is, you mentioned going from failure to failure. That's just called education, right?
That's right.
You just try to get smarter. And anyways, I've done that. You've done that. Let's keep talking about it.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about how it compounds. You know, it's interesting. It's like it's a contradiction inside. There's like this internal battle, because the confidence compounds, because you know that you can start back up from nothing, like making, you know, my first $1 million in 5 months of being a real estate developer and banking that and being liquid and like, oh, I finally did it after 10, 12 years of grind, and then losing it and being millions in the hole, and then rebuilding and doing it again, and then rinse and repeat, losing it and rebuilding. There's confidence in the fact that I know you can drop me anywhere on earth and I know how to make stuff happen. I know what to do. I know what I'm made of. I know how to talk to people. I know how to sell ideas. I know how to build a business from the ground up. So all those things bring this confidence. But the inner turmoil, also what's compounded is, and this is the contradiction, some insecurities also. Like, do I have what it takes? Am I good enough? Shit, maybe I don't. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I got kids and a wife counting on me. Can I restart? What if it doesn't work again? Like, these conversations happen inside. And the big difference between folks who are wired as entrepreneurs and those who aren't, and maybe need some more time to cultivate that, is that you do it anyway. You move forward in spite of the insecurity, in spite of the fear. You charge forward anyway. And you know, some people are like, oh, you're crazy. What's wrong with you? Go get a job. Like, I can't. I just, everyone's like, what do you mean you can? Of course you can. I can't do it. I got all these big ideas I have to execute on. Otherwise it's like manna for my soul to execute on things I believe in. You know, I see something out in the world and I gotta go try to make it real, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's, I mean, what you're saying is like so true. And yeah, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, there's people that listen to hear what you just said and sound like, say, that just sounds like hell. I'm going to keep my job. Yep. And then there's people that are like, yes, I get it. He understands me. I understand him. This is the only way I could live. And, you know, if I wasn't an entrepreneur, I'd probably be like a MMA fighter, or I'd probably be a mountain climber, or I'd do something else that allows me to just get so myopically focused on this goal that I think that is so important to me, even though it may mean nothing to anyone else. But I feel alive.
Yes.
When I'm in that space, and to be ripped out of this space, which would be to quote, get a job. Yeah. Would feel like death.
Absolutely. It's funny. Sometimes I look at entrepreneurship like a parasite where it's on me and we can live together. In fact, they could even give me some superpowers. Yeah. But if you try to take it off, I'm probably going to die. Probably going to die. It has to stay on me. It has to stay with me. And that visual, it represents my personal experience in entrepreneurship, where it can be very painful and you eat a lot of shit for a long time. But when it's working, oh man, there's nothing like it. When you start to see the results of your vision, something you thought you thought about it and you had this idea on something you want to see happen in the world, and then you actually see it happen. There's just no feeling like that. And it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do. It has to do with watching your vision for the world and for others actually be fulfilled and see it impact, see it reach people. I don't know if I'd feel the same if I didn't see the result out in the world for others. Like if it was just something I built and then I never got to see what it did, I don't know if it would feel the same. So I don't know what that's about, but I love seeing the impact these big ideas have on other people. That's the big win. And it probably has something to do with growing up as a musician, like watching my music, being on stages and watching the crowd respond to a song, or watching the front row sing along with you. It's like, what? This is incredible. It's very similar in entrepreneurship, where you get to see your big idea make a difference and reach people. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, so much. You know, when I was in my early 20s, you know, I was a musician too, in a different way. And I wrote a musical, and I spent months calling every single festival or playhouse or college or anybody that could potentially help me put on a show, just trying to get my musical to come alive. Because the fact that I wrote this musical was like, well, that's, I mean, it was, yay, I achieved it. And also, boo, this sucks. Because I created this thing, it doesn't exist, right? So I call all these festivals, finally get accepted to this one, the Minnesota Fringe Festival, which is like an arts festival in Minneapolis every summer, which is actually pretty cool. It's a really cool festival. But the problem is they put up like 300 shows for 2 weeks. And so I'm in this little theater. I got to pay to get up there. I got to hire 10 actors. The lead male actor dropped out 4 weeks before the show. So I had to step in and learn to sing and dance and act.
Oh, wow.
And get my buddy to play all the piano for it.
Tell me you have a video of this.
We don't, dude. We don't.
What?
It's so sad, man. We don't. It's so funny, but we're so sad. But anyway, the point is, I go do this show, and in 2 weeks, we never had an audience more than 8 people.
Mm.
And as rewarding and fulfilling as it was to be like, I produced my own musical, I was so depressed because maybe 200, 150 people saw it, and that was it. Impact minimal and impact over. So I did everything else in the creative and production process except really get it out to the world. And it just made me depressed.
I totally understand.
So
that.
I totally get what you're saying.
Imagine if you had the skills and experience you have now to like market or promote and spread the word about something. You would have had like sold out shows.
Yeah, I'd be, instead of Andrew Lloyd Webber, it'd be Jeffrey Michael Lerner.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I totally get it. So you know, I guess maybe a good place to steer the conversation, because we're both musicians. And what's interesting is yesterday I was on a call with, I did an interview with a guy named Dan Henry, who you may know. He's a big online influencer, teaches course creation, teaches digital agencies, you know, won 8-figure awards from ClickFunnels. He's a really big, successful guy. Turns out, former musician, used to be a guitar player. I interviewed a guy named John Benson a while ago. He's like great old school copywriter. One of the people, without him, all of what we do wouldn't exist. Like direct response marketing would never have gone digital.
Yeah, he's like a Yoda in the space.
Yeah, totally. World-class bass player, dude. He sent me a video the next day of him freaking ripping off Geddy Lee bass lines like it was nothing. And I'm like, man, I'm starting to pick up a theme here. And those aren't the only ones. A lot of musicians make this transition. So I'm curious, and I think there's reasons for that. And actually Dan Henry made a really good point. He's like, yeah, because musicians just know how much freaking work it is to like get good at something. Yeah. You know, you practice 10,000 hours to achieve basic competence. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people online, they want to make money in like 3 months. And so anyway, that said, tell me about your journey, man. You were a Disney pop star, which is interesting. And how did you go from that to this?
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride. If somebody asked me when I was 8 and 9 and 10, you know, what do you want to be? And when you grow up, I was certain I was going to be, you know, a world-class musician, Grammy-winning, multi-platinum. Like that was my dream. Nothing else. Laser focused on that for all of my childhood. And so, you know, I did the Mickey Mouse Club when I think I was 12 or 13, something like that. And I got cut from the Mickey Mouse Club after imagine it's sort of like, you know, 100,000 people audition for American Idol, and then you have your top 10. Yeah. I was the top 10. After all these people audition, I got down to the top 10. Then you fly to Florida, you do all these screen tests and all these things. And I got cut at the final hour because, one, I was taller than the adult host, and they're like, visually it just didn't work. And two, they felt that I was unfocused because I ended up making friends with the regulars who were already on the show. And we drove around Disney World a lot, like behind the scenes in the golf cart, just having fun and screwing around. And that was my personality. I like to connect with people and you know, make friends. And they were like, oh, we see that as unfocused because you should have just been sitting here waiting for instructions. And so lesson learned about that, by the way. I took that forward. Like I'd never made that mistake again.
Compounded failure, right?
Compounded failure. Yeah. I took that with me. And then I hosted a Saturday morning kids show for about 1.5 years. I was one of the hosts. It was called Music Magic, and where we teach kids about music, and we bring on famous musicians and talk about their journey and all that. And then I would say maybe 9th grade, I started writing songs, like maybe a song every couple of days, hardcore, right. Ask the teacher, I got to go to the bathroom. And I would just go to the bathroom with my little micro recorder and write. That was my MO. And I would say by the end of 9th grade, I probably had 200 songs, something like that. And formed a little boy band and started doing shows around Seattle, Washington. And made the demo tapes and started like soliciting and trying to get our stuff picked up. And it took until my junior year in high school. So we probably did a few hundred shows at that point and just grind. But what I found along the way is I started to get this love for packaging things. because I realized that if I could tell a really good story and make our stuff stand out, maybe the record executive, maybe the program director at radio station would take a look at our package or take a look at our demo if our stuff looked cool. So I started getting hooked on visual, like making things beautiful and telling a great story in the packet and like finding little hooks and things to get their attention. And it worked. The program director in Seattle, Chet Buchanan, Cube 93, was like, you know what, man, you've been bothering me like crazy. I'm going to play this song tonight at midnight. We'll see what happens. And he played it, and they got so many requests that the next day he's like, I'm going to put this in regular rotation and we're going to see what happens. And it blew up, took off across the country. And then we got offers from all the majors, and then we signed with Disney. And so from there, we made our album, toured the world, did that whole thing for pretty much all of the 90s. But along the way, I just got hooked on the business side of things. All of the people that I aspired to be, from Puffy to Russell Simmons. I started getting into like Paul Allen and Bill Gates and looking at the stuff they were doing in the world. And I'm like, I can't just be a dancing monkey on stage. If I really want to like grow some wealth and have some influence and do some cool things, I got to learn this stuff. And that's kind of where the bug got me. In hindsight, I look back and I see I was wired like this as a kid. I was the guy mowing lawns at 10 in my neighborhood. I was selling GI Joes I bought at the swap meet to kids at school. I was competing for dollars in arcades. And I see that I always had this spirit, this entrepreneurial spirit, but I didn't notice that until later.
And you were the guy who was doing the marketing of your art.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'll say I was that same guy. I was in a band and they just wanted to smoke weed and play music.
Yes.
I'm like, guys, let's get a gig. Let's make a record. That was me. So, here we are. Right?
Same thing. I'm the guy. It's funny. I remember a time when we, I told the guys, like, listen, I think one way we can get signed, this was just before our single got played that night. I was like, why don't we make some fake backstage passes and sneak into a big concert that comes to town and then put our demo tapes in all the dressing rooms? And they were like, dude, it's not going to work. And I'm like, trust me. So we sat at Kinko's for like 5 hours and like printing out fake backstage passes, laminating them, cutting them out. And I put this whole stack around my neck of like all these concerts and like fake dates and stuff. And then we put our backpacks on. I was like, listen, you got to walk past security like you belong, just with this attitude. So we had our bottled water. We just looked like we were somebody. And it was the concert was Janet Jackson at the Tacoma Dome. And I was like, and so we walk right in, and there's an elevator that said dressing rooms, and there's security guards sitting on a chair that looks at your backstage pass. And we walk back in, and we're in a conversation, and we're talking, and she didn't even look. She just assumed, because we had all these lanyards on. We went right on down to the floor. I saw Janet Jackson's dressing room. I'm like, dude, I'm going to open the door and put the demo tape in there. And I swear this guy in my mind had to be like 12 feet tall, this huge security guard. And he was like, what are you guys doing back here? Those passes are bogus. You have two choices. I'm either going to arrest you, or you can go to the front and buy a ticket for the concert. And I'm like, are you serious, man? I said, look at what I accomplished. We made passes. We got past security. We came in with our demo tape. Can I get some credit for the hustle? And he starts laughing, and he's like, man, just get out of here. So we went to the front, bought some tickets, went and enjoyed the concert, and that was it. But that's the kind of like wiring I had as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
totally
so
get it, dude.
that translated to later on, I realized there was some kind of fun in the startup concept, like idea, build out a game plan, do some brand work, some storytelling around it. I just got hooked on that concept. And so I started building businesses. We got off tour in 1998 and had one little run in 99 where I thought I was going to be the Tiger Woods of country. I tried that for a year. And then I was like, I started building business. I started with a web design business in 2000 and started with a small, like on-demand computer repair business and just little things I was trying, but nothing hit me. But that's sort of where the transition started. And then I was just hooked on starting things and trying to find that feeling that I got from music, creating a song in the studio, hearing it on the radio, getting in front of an audience, like those feelings I got, I tried to find a business that would get me there. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, first of all, love it, get it. Like it's no wonder we're good friends. I mean, we're just, similarly wired, and certainly what I've learned through my efforts and creating a lot of content and building a, decent sized audience and tons of relationships out there is like, there's a lot of us out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that love They love the ideation. They love the self-determination and the empowerment of like, I can do and create this thing, and ultimately from that create a whole life. Not just create a thing, but create a place for myself in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a pretty huge gap right now in just knowing how to do it and skill set. And I think the internet has, oh man, it's done a number on it. I mean, the reality is in the old days, in the analog world, like, you know, you could figure it out. You could be like, well, what do I do? Okay, man, I'm going to make a backstage pass and I'm going to go to the show and I'm going to print my demo. And like, you know, a creative person could kind of piece together a strategy, and it may not have been the right strategy, but it was enough to learn from and carry on to the next one. Now in the internet world, it's like it all happens behind the curtain of technology. So people step into it and they're so vulnerable to just believing what they're told because there's no obvious path.
Yeah.
Because it's all binary, it's all zeros and ones, right? And so then there's just all this bullshit that's like, oh, well, just do this. Just do this. It's easy. Just, you know, and so now the whole entrepreneurial world, it seems, has almost turned into, it's the same personality types, but so often those dreams are getting crushed by bad information or something that ultimately disempowers the real lesson of it, which is like the grind and challenge and the ingenuity required and the fact that there is no paint by numbers way to do it, or else everybody would be doing it.
Dude, timeless hustle principles.
Yeah. And that's
those
why,
are the same.
Again, to Dan Henry's point, that's why musicians, like, you know, you go into a guitar studio and you're like, you know, listen, Mr. Van Halen, although, you know, homage to Eddie who passed away, but listen, Mr. Van Halen, is there just like a shortcut? Is there any way I could play Eruption in 3 months?
That's a great example. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, you just, you know, go in the shed and play your scales 11 million times and then come back and talk to me. And, So what do you say now? I mean, you do brand development. Like, I assume you get a lot of people who have ideas coming to your doorstep. And how do you hear them? What do you tell them is what it takes now in this world that's probably fried their brain with bad information at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's so much misinformation, man, like you said, and people get focused on all this external stuff and the new exciting shiny way, and you know, the Facebook hack and the shortcut to grow your Insta followers, and you know, get on TikTok because you can scale attention so easily. And so they think that, okay, cool, if I do just that and I get all these people, then it's going to shortcut me to wealth and riches and whatever the hell, all these things. And then because there's really intelligent marketers that know that that's how human beings think, you can use that information against people to get them to buy stuff that they don't need and buy stuff that's not really going to serve them. So when
intelligent, but not necessarily so ethical marketers.
100%. Absolutely. And, you know, listen, I'm not here to judge anybody's hustle, how they take care of their families, they do what they do, but I don't like when people do things that extract cash from good people that they know is not in their best interest. That bothers me. That's just me. And so what I tell folks, before you even start thinking about branding, who are you? Like, what is it that you actually want to say to the world? What kind of reputation do you want to build? What kind of feeling and experience do you want to leave people with when they come across everything you do, all of your assets? Because it's all part of your brand ecosystem. And it's all connected. What you do online and offline, your social post, your energy, your tone, from your clothes to your, all of it's connected, but none of it matters if you're not clear on who you are and what your values are and what you believe in and what things you're willing to plant your flag in, even if it pisses some people off, even if it turns off some people, even if it's not optimal financially to say, this is who I am. Like, you might make more money if you were to curate a character, so to speak, that's not really you, but you know it's going to make you more money or close a deal. That's the really hard part. A lot of people are trained to like fib and misrepresent stuff to get the deal, get the date, close the contract, get the promotion. So I'm going to say that I helped 5,000 people make $1 million. Yeah, you were a project manager for a company that did that. And so you can use that now in your marketing material to sell someone a course. I get it. I understand why people do that. But the problem is that you spend all this time building a brand that's not who you are, and it's exhausting. You have to wake up and figure out, shit, what mask did I wear on that phone call? What mask was I wearing with that girl? What mask was I wearing with that guy? Oh, I forgot. And it's a mess, rather than, who am I? Who do I want to be in the world? And I'm going to plant my flag here. And then I'm going to just put in the work to develop this over time. And it's no shortcut. You cannot shortcut. You know, Bruce Lee said something to the effect of, I'm not afraid of the guy that knows 10,000 kicks. I'm afraid of the guy that practices one kick 10,000 times. That person that just goes all in on who they are and they're keeping it real with people. I don't care if you're just starting. Say that. Say, I love X. This is the thing I love so much. I'm not great at it, but I'm passionate about it and I'm learning a lot. I know a lot. I probably know a lot more than most people. So I'm just going to post some shit about me, sharing what I'm learning along the way. That is so attractive to people when someone's keeping, because what happens is people can count on what comes out of your mouth to be true for you. And when they can count on what comes out of your mouth to be true and authentic for you, then they can believe you. And when people believe you, they like you, they trust you, they connect with you. And here's the cool part. They're more likely to transact with you eventually if those things are true. They're less like the stuff that kills me is, I'm going to put on a suit and stand in front of a Bentley because I want you to believe I'm successful so that I can sell you something related to this because I need you to believe I'm successful. The problem is you're not really successful. And if you had just kept it real, you could build a base of humans that connect with you for who you are. And you don't have to stress about remembering what you said, remembering what kind of act you got to put on. So these are the kind of conversations I have with clients when they come in the door, so we can get their story straight, so to speak, get it clear. Let's really figure that out. And that doesn't mean, you know, sharing stuff that's super personal to you. You don't have to do that. You don't have to always say everything, or things that might compromise your long-term ability to scale. Some things you just keep to yourself, and that's okay. But hopefully you understand the idea of what I'm saying behind just being who you are. And that takes practice though, because a lot of people aren't used to being that free because they're used to having to play a game to win and succeed. I've done it, so I get it. Growing up, we call that selling out, where you sell yourself out to win a thing, but then you end up selling yourself short long-term. And there's a freedom in not giving a shit about any of that. It's freeing. Like, I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of anything that I say because I'm saying what I believe in and what's real for me at any given moment. And that changes, by the way. Your viewpoint and the things that you hold true and your values and beliefs, some of those things shift over time, and that's okay too. For that, as you grow, you uncover new things about yourself, and as you mature and have more experience, you learn new things. And so I just tell people around the branding and the human branding conversation, human branding is about being yourself and delivering that real authenticity to the world. And that is more about serving others. I hate saying personal branding because personal branding ends up, the way people define it today, it's a lot of curation. It's a lot of character creation in order to transact. Let me do a beautiful website. Let me take some fancy pictures. It's all curation as opposed to, let me show you who I am. So I like to use the word human branding as opposed to personal, just because I don't like the connotations today.
Yeah, I remember picking up on that, you know, from day one when we started talking professionally. I was like, oh, I've met a lot of people that talk about personal branding. I hadn't met anybody that talks about human branding. And you talked about brand architecture.
Yes.
Was your term.
Yeah, because it does take some architecting.
Yeah, and this is I think an appropriate point for me to share. I mean, I feel like I've probably been a pretty decent case study in exactly what you're describing, because when we first started talking 2.5 years ago, you basically told me what you just said.
Yeah.
You shared with me your truth about what you believe about branding. And I was like, well, yeah, that sounds probably true and logical. But also it sounds like a lot more fun than the other, which is what everybody else talks about, which is, creating your character, for lack of a better word, which I actually use that term about stepping into character, but I think of character as like the amplified version of yourself. It's like going on stage. You summon an energy and you step up with a posture, and you got to put out a level of energy on stage that you don't do off stage, but that's stepping into character.
No, I'm glad you said that. Actually, let me say something about that, because that's important distinction. So the way you define it just now, that character, some folks are way more developed in how they communicate who they are to the world. And so it's less, it's a little easier for them to press record or go live on Facebook and just start sharing their truth because they're more developed at communicating their points. Or maybe they're a great writer, so they can write it. Some folks maybe are more introverted. They're not as skilled at articulating the things they want to say. And so when you say that makes me want to tell folks who are listening that if you haven't cultivated that skill set in communicating who you are in an effective way, then there is a character cultivation. There is some architecting that you have to do to be able to refine your ability to turn it on. Because honestly, it's going to be difficult for you to scale awareness and attention to you as a human if you're just super, super boring and dead energy. And it's just challenging. It's the way humans are wired. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to that. So you do have to put in some work and to build up that character, but it's your true character.
Yeah. And it totally makes, it makes huge amount of sense to me because again, I lived it and, I'm not sure that you even know the extent to which I've taken this methodology and, basically your advice and run with it in the last few years. We've lightly stayed in touch, but I'm telling you, the audience, this shit works. Like when I met Dion, I think we met in like 2017 at an event and we kind of knew each other. But then in summer 2018, a buddy of mine he was my coach at the time was like, dude, you got to talk to Dion, man. With what you say you want to do, you got to talk to this human branding guy. And I was like, oh, I know Dion. Yeah, we met at that event last year and blah, blah, blah. And we reconnected. And you basically had this conversation with me. I was like, this is amazing. I paid you some money. I don't remember how much it was, but it was some of the best money I ever spent. We got on a call and for like, I don't know, it was 4 hours or 6 hours. You took me through an exercise of architecting my authentic, but also best.
Yes. Yes.
My character.
Congruent with who you say you want to be and the goals personally and professionally that you want to accomplish, because those things have to be considered. This isn't just let me go on video and start posting just whatever.
Right.
I'm keeping it real. See? No, there's also the business side to it, and there's the architecture side to it. So we take all that information and go, okay, great. So how are we going to architect your story, your values, your beliefs, the goals you want to accomplish professionally, and wrap it in a way that is true for you and that resonates and connects with who it is you're trying to connect with. And that's where the work comes in.
Yeah, and I think architecture is a really good term for it because you think about what like structural architecture is. It's so intrinsically an extension of the raw materials. If you say, hey, I want to build a structure out of granite versus I want to build a structure out of sheetrock or balsam wood, you're going to have to architect it differently based on the goal of the structure, but also the raw materials of the structure.
Yes.
That's what you're describing from a marketing standpoint. And you took me through that exercise and it was the first time, like I would say first of all, I'm naturally an introvert. So going live, my teeth were chattering the first time I went live, so to speak. But it was like, I know I need to do this. I know, and I can talk, like I can string a lot of words together, but frankly, I'm not sure they meant a whole lot. I was good at taking another subject or another topic and articulating it back to the world. But in terms of like speaking my truth, I'm not sure I really knew what the hell you were even talking about when you said that. But you gave me some direction and kind of a framework as a starting point. And that's literally all I've been doing for 2 years. And, to put a fine point on it, like tens of millions of dollars later, I'm here to say this shit really works when you just start being the best version of yourself by design, based on intention of where you want your life and your business to go, with a plan and with a core concept. And that's what you did for me. So I want you to talk more about it. and the work that you do with your clients, and you know, even the work you did for me, and how you got into this human brand architecture and bad people. But like, I just want to start that by saying to people, like, listen up, because what Dion's about to tell you is a lot of what he told me 2.5 years ago, and it literally changed my life.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you know, you're one of the types of humans that actually executes. Like, you're always learning, and you're always looking for ways to level up, even if it's 1% here, 2% there. And so that's also a testament to who you are. I mean, not everybody is able to execute at your level. You just get shit done at all costs. You're like, I'm doing this. So that's partly
Well,
you.
I appreciate
mainly you. I would say.
appreciate that. Although I would suggest that I actually think everybody has that capacity. It's just a decision.
I do think everyone has that capacity, and other people. It's so funny you said that, because I believe everyone has that capacity, and others, it takes more work than others because of where you are in your journey. So some folks have already put in work prior to coming to this kind of conversation, and so they're a little more prepared to run with the ball, so to speak. Then other folks need some more handholding and some development to get there, but they have the capacity, so it's there. The question is, are you going to put in the work and not quit when it gets hard? Because it gets hard always. It never stops getting hard.
That's the other thing I'll say, is that since Dion helped me map out what I needed, what I wanted to do and needed to do to get the goal that I wanted, it's the hardest work I've ever done.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man. You put me on a track to work harder than I ever have.
That's my pleasure.
I'm grateful.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
The branding stuff, like I said, it really is very internal. Where everything starts internal. It starts with that self-awareness piece. That's the first place I start with everyone. Let's look at your story. Let's look at where you came from. Let's look at your upbringing. Let's look at your childhood, your schooling, your education, your career path. Tell me about your values. What things are like absolutes in your life? Like, these are the things that I have to have. They have to be true in order for me to be friends with someone, or to, you know, be in a relationship, or to be partners with someone. What are those things? You know, for me, things like integrity, doing what you say when you say you're going to do it. And if something changes, communicating early and fast to everybody so they can count on you. I think that being reliable it sounds so simple, but being reliable is huge for me. I want everyone that knows me to know that if Dion said he's going to do that, it's going to happen. Or if they need someone to really get something done, they call me. I love that. That's important to me. Family is important to me. If for whatever reason what I'm doing takes away from my time with my children in a way that affects my ability to be there for them when they need me, be there for our family dinners, be there for my wife on date nights, like those types of things, I just don't do it. And that costs me money, and I don't give a rat's ass, because that's not my number one thing. I don't value money in that way. Don't get me wrong. I value money because it's a tool to get things done, for sure. But I have this order of values, and that's a part of my human brand, so that anyone that comes in contact with me, that's how they experience me. And that's what's important, right? If you look behind me here, I have these little nerd toys and some books and like Oculus and Nintendo, like these things. I'm communicating who I am and things that matter to me. And I have this little fake brick wall thing back here, and my little nerd TV that's a whiteboard digital, like these. I love tech and stuff. So to me, it's important. I love sharing this stuff with people. And Nintendo's a thing that growing up in the hood, had I not had a Nintendo, I would have been on the streets and I'd probably be a different person. So video games kept me from getting into trouble. I love video games. I played all the time. And so it's such a part of my life. So I put that there to communicate a part of who I am. So these are the little things that we start to pull out once you get clear. What do you want to say to people with assets, with copy, with the visual? Then you move into the other things. Then it's easy to do a photo shoot. Then it's easy to build a website. Then it's easy to write your copy. Easier, I should say, because you have clarity. What happens though is folks get caught up in this personal branding madness where they go hire somebody and they pay all this money to have a website, and it's just a pretty way. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It's hollow, but it's pretty, but they wonder why it doesn't convert, it doesn't connect, it doesn't do anything, because they didn't get clear on the first part. Get clear. for me, and I don't care. And you also have to do this. You can't care what anyone thinks about any of this stuff. Like, I couldn't care less if someone was like, "Oh, why would you have video games? That's stupid."
Facts. I just want to say facts right there.
Yeah, man. It's
hardest part of crossing the bridge, by the way.
It's so, because we're so concerned what other people think, because most of us spend our lives trying to figure out how to get people to like us, from being a kid all the way up. How do we get mom and dad to like us? How do we get the boy or the girl to like us? How do we get our boss to like us so I get a promotion? How do we get, it's all about trying to get external validation. And so when you spend your time doing that, it's really hard to find yourself, because everything you do is based so heavily on other people's opinion and feedback and validation of you. And it doesn't work when you're trying to cultivate a scalable, authentic human brand. You got to get this stuff clear for yourself. Now, there are some voices that are important when you're building this. For example, for me, my wife, I really care what she has to say. And so I check in with her, because she can see things that might be blind spots to me. And I know that her feedback and input is coming from a place of my best interest. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm very, very, very careful on who I let in that inner circle, if you will, because I know that a lot of folks take the opinions of others who don't come from a good place, even if they think they are. Mm-hmm. My cousin told me I shouldn't build a business or start a business because he tried it one time and he lost his savings. And that's your cousin's advice is coming from fear and coming from his own shortcomings and his own lack of self-belief. Has nothing to do with your best interest. So if you are going to take outside opinions while you're building this stuff, it's got to be people that truly have your best interest at heart, and they see who you really are, and they see your greatness, and they support your greatness. All of this is important early on, because you'll get some real feedback. And so I say that, I keep pointing back here because it's so important that you find your truth and your message. And then once that's clear, then imagine this. Imagine going to a photographer or going to a web designer or going to a copywriter and saying, "Hey, here's my story. Here's who I am. Here's what I want to say. Here's what I believe. Here's what are my must-haves. Here are my hell no's and hell yeses." And that photographer's like, "Oh shit. Okay. Great. Now I know exactly what kind of shots we should take of you, since you told me that's how you want to be seen." It's so powerful and it's fulfilling. And the work you get back, because they're artists. The photographer's an artist. The web designer's an artist. The engineer, the programmer who's coding is an artist. There's an art to it. Yes, it's science, but there's an art to all of it. You're pulling on and tapping in to something inside them that's raw and real and powerful when you share who you really are. But when you just come with a hollow, "Yeah, here's what I want on a website that looks good because I'm selling my book and I'm selling it," you're not inspiring anyone. Come inspired, and you'll inspire all the people that come to work with you and for you. This is how you start to cultivate a human brand that is powerful. This is how you architect it. And then all those assets spill out from that clarity. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, so much so. And, I can give a very tangible example. We just, in my company, Entra, we set an intention very unapologetically that, like, we want to be the Harvard University of online business education. And we just did commissioned a new logo. We did a contest on 99 designs and got a bunch of submissions. And the simple and frankly fairly bold statement of, we want to be the Harvard University of online business education, of entrepreneurial education.
Got it.
I mean, that's a bold, declamatory line in the sand statement that gives you, Occam's razor to cut away all the stuff that isn't the right stuff. But It took me a year and a half. No, I guess 2 years. Yeah, because we started this 2 years after I posted my first video about excellence and, physical, the 3 Ps and all the stuff that I'm kind of known for now. Like, took me 2 years to get to where I had backfilled with the confidence and the clarity and the results to feel not like an imposter saying something like, "I want to be the Harvard University of online entrepreneurial education." But man, once you get there, we had a 99 designs contest, and I think we got 400 submissions for logo examples. It was, that's a lot to go through unless you have clear standards.
That's right.
And
100%. That's
instead
a great example.
we eliminated 390 of them, gave feedback to the 10, and ultimately the final determination that on the exact right fit for the logo was based on how Harvard displays their logo and their emblem on their website. And we're like, we're going all the way, man. We're going to do the same thing. And in order to fit in that design, I'm doing a wedge because they have a little wedge in the center of their navigation bar. In order to fit in that design structure, the emblem needs to be adjusted just so. But like, the amount of work that it took, this is what I'm trying to emphasize. The amount of work that it took for me to get to where I was not going to be constantly second guessing myself making such a bold statement was like, it's probably, I don't know if it's 10,000 hours, but maybe 3, 4, 5,000 hours of brand development and messaging development and message delivery. And to your point, finding myself over the last 2.5 years.
Absolutely.
And it made it really easy to actually get a damn logo done.
Dude,
like, how long did it take to design my logo? I don't know, 5,000 hours. But most of that I was working on a lot of other stuff. The logo itself was pretty easy, you know?
But and you said it earlier too. It's like, it's funny, being patient, over time, you start to cut away the things that aren't you, and you're left with that powerful truth. So it's less about adding. I like to tell people that you're perfect. You are incredible as you are right now. Doesn't mean there's not growth to do and work to do, but you're amazing right now. The problem is we have all this crap stacked on us that's not us, and you have to cut it away to see like, oh, there I am. There I am. Like, stare in the mirror and look at yourself and go, look at what I've been through. Look at what I've overcome. Look at what I've accomplished. I'm so proud of who I am. And this is where I want to go. And you start having these kind of conversations with yourself, and all this junk that we've clouded on ourselves, all this, insecurity, and, oh, I'm not pretty enough, and I'm not thin enough, and I don't drive the right car, and I know all this, whatever the crap. When you remove all that and look at yourself, you could see just how amazing you are, but it takes time and experience to be able to cut away the things. So what you just said is you had to cut away some stuff, but it took you a couple years to be able to find that clarity. And it's so powerful. And then you were able to go from 0 to 60, essentially, once you got that clarity, like, boom, your business exploded. But it took you cutting away some crap and figuring some things out. Some folks take longer. Some folks take shorter time. Some folks, hire guys like me and, come get trained by you guys, and they can accelerate that growth for sure by getting the help of people that have been there already. But you still got to do the work. Nothing's going to get you there overnight. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's like the Statue of David, man. It's just a big chunk of marble.
Yes.
You just had to trim away some stuff.
Yep. And then there he is.
There it is. It was in there all the time. Right.
That's right.
So how do you, I've sort of described my experience with you, but like, give me some example or an example, somebody who comes to you, and you don't have to name names, but somebody comes to you with like an idea or vision for a business, but maybe their human brand is not clear. How do you, what do you do? What's the work with them?
Well, I will say that's most people.
Yeah.
We've got high profile founders of tech companies as clients. We've got athletes. We've got, owners of small mom and pops in a local market. We have from the real estate agent to the startup entrepreneur with an idea that just wants to talk about some stuff and start a podcast, whatever. There's a range of humans. And the work is the same, regardless of where you are. The work is very, very simple. Everything starts with this opening conversation. Well, we'll get together and we'll talk about it. And sometimes it's, an hour and a half, sometimes it's 3 hours, but we got to start by just figuring out your journey, where you've been, who you are, what you're up to. And then throughout that conversation, I start taking notes. My team is taking notes, and we're writing down ideas and, taglines that come to mind when we hear who you are as a human.
You do it like you did it with me, where it's like you steering the conversation, but there's guys in the background that are like pulling sound bites out and writing them down on whiteboards, and
it's super fun.
Yeah, it's so cool. They're like building
my team
cloud document of you on a whiteboard.
Right. That's right. They'll be behind me, and there'll be a copywriter and the visual designer, my creative director and partner. He's an incredible, incredible man. And this guy, he'll be back there just kind of sketching concepts that come to mind when he hears you and what you're up to and where you've been. And so we'll have this huge whiteboard full of concepts and ideas and things we pull out from your story. And then we take that and we distill it down to how we see this brand positioning, what it could be, and then feed it back to you in a beautiful like brief where you're like, okay, here's how we see your expert positioning. Here's your sort of value proposition we believe that you should form your content around. Here's some visual ideas on mood boards and concepts and how we think you should visually present yourself. And so that's kind of how it starts. And then based on the individual, we'll do custom things. One person needs a book, so we'll help them, author their book. And one person wants to just do a podcast or a show from home, and we'll help them figure out what the name is and what the brand is and all that kind of stuff. Most everyone at some point when they're ready will get a website of some kind, sort of their home base. I believe that the website is important for those that want to be seen as a influential human brand, because it's your home base that nobody else controls. Facebook can make one change and like wipe people out.
Yeah.
Because it's their politics, it's their system, it's their rules. And so, but your website is yours, and you can say whatever the heck you want on that. So it's a great place for people to get to know you. So I do think that people should have that once they're clear. And then other things like what you did, well, you fly to LA for those who are, the players who are ready to go big, and you come down and we do photo shoots and video and styling and, help them get all that stuff dialed too. Because some folks are ready to level up, but they don't have the skill set to do that. So they need to get with an expert that can help them. Like, all right, let's get you some new clothes. You're ready. Let's do a new haircut. Let's like refresh your whole visual to get it congruent with who you really are and what you want to say. And so those are some of the things based on the human. But it all starts with that intake interview.
Yeah, I can say that currently, as it stands right now, jefflernerofficial.com is a bad people design and a photo that I took in LA with you in clothes that I've got from your private stylist at Nordstrom. And it's a fun experience that, it's actually pretty profound, the experience, because I'll admit, when I was there with you, I felt like a total imposter. Who the hell am I getting a haircut from Sylvester Stallone's barber at the Beverly Hills and I'm super uncomfortable going and buying expensive clothes and having a stylist giving me clothes and just the whole thing. I was like, what the hell am I doing? Who am I pretending to be? But there was something really, really powerful about having, again, the only way to know to say is like, I drew a line in the sand is like, pardon the language. Like, I'm not fucking around.
Yeah.
I'm serious about this. I'm investing in it. I'm doing it in a way that is either going to, and I talk about this a lot, doing things in your life that psychologically, at least, there's no coming back from. Because for me to drop the money, go take the photos, get the clothes, build the website, act as if, actually I'm acting as if I'm this person. If I don't do anything to follow that up, what kind of a hypocrite loser am I, man? I just pissed away money. I dragged my wife out to LA, did all this stupid, wasted a bunch of people's time. And or I can follow it up with an intensity that I've never even mustered before. And look what can happen. Because now I look at that website and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to step that up, man. I need a new photo shoot. I need new clothes. I need a new website. I'm like excited to get better and better and better and better. But like when I started, it was uncomfortable. It really was. Thinking of myself as a human brand. You know why? And let me say that.
Go ahead.
Because I was an ugly kid who got bullied growing up. The last thing I ever wanted to do was see my face out there as a brand of anything. And this experience helped change that. Honestly.
That's powerful, dude. So powerful. And I want to tell you something you may not know, but so the work that we did together when you were here and our phone calls together, I saw your power and your beauty, and I saw your truth, and I saw the kind of man you want to become, and I saw where your heart was and the difference you wanted to make for the people in the world and for your customers and for your team and for your family. And I saw that. So that experience you had while you were here, you weren't an imposter. You were actually being your best self and the self that we saw how magnificent you were. And that's what that was. So that was real. You just had to grow into it because you had, like you said, you've been shying away from it because of some experiences in the past. But you are a beautiful, beautiful human being and father and husband. And I know your heart and the intention you set for the world. And if anybody doesn't know that, let it be known right now that I'm telling you, I don't fuck with people who are fake and who are out to try to take from the world. I know that you just want to give. You have this big dream to see people's lives be changed through what you know, and you're trying to bring that stuff to the world. You're not even trying, you're doing it. And so that stuff we were doing together was true. It was real for you.
Well, thank you. If I sit on that, I'm going to get emotional. So I really appreciate that. But in a way though, thank you again, but isn't that actually everyone's potential truth? Maybe they're not there yet, but like,
yes,
if you can step into this version of who you want to become and surround yourself with people that can see your greatness, your emerging or potential greatness, you can actualize it.
Yes,
Anyone.
absolutely. And you're not, and the other thing too, I want people to know is that one, you don't have to build some kind of influential personal brand fame thing to have a successful business. We know that those two don't have to go together. There are plenty of unknown people smashing it out there that nobody has even heard of. So, but you still have a brand. Even that person has a brand in their circle, in their company.
Tech CEOs, for example,
CEOs,
they're already very successful.
Yes.
But they come to you to say, I need to evolve my brand, because having a clear, powerful brand, whatever world you're in, there are doors that have not yet opened.
Yes.
And a clear, powerful brand will open new doors.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And stepping into that greatest version of yourself and having that kind of clarity has a profound impact on the people in your life. So your spouse, your children, your business partners, your employees, having that clarity can also infuse that truth and that authenticity and that power into your organization, into the culture of the things you're building. It doesn't have to be about fame. It's not about, I'm going to get famous by building a brand and a fancy website and all that. It's not that for everybody. Some people have no interest in being out there like that and shooting a bunch of videos and all. That's fine. But knowing what you're about, where you stand, who you are, and then being able to communicate that clarity to everyone, no matter what you're doing, is so powerful. Imagine if everyone in your life knew these things about you. One thing that happens, and I'll tell you from personal experience, when I wasn't clear on these things, I found myself in life positions I didn't know how I got there. Or I'm like, God, how did this happen again? Another bad partnership? I did everything right. I did what I said. I showed up on time. I delivered great results. I committed to excellence. I kept my word. And I'm still, shit went sideways. How? I'll tell you how. I wasn't clear on my value system, my boundaries. I didn't plant my flag and communicate it clearly to everyone around me what I stand for. What are my hell yeses and hell nos? And when you do that, it's impossible to end up somewhere that you didn't know how you got there, because you operate and communicate with so much clarity. You know exactly where you're going and what you're doing, and so does everyone else. So you wouldn't tolerate being in a situation that's not congruent with that clarity. So this isn't just about getting famous and being known. This can have a profound impact on your entire life if you really do the work. And yeah, I get super passionate about that, dude, because I want people. So many people live half truths and halfway, and they stop themselves from reaching their greatest potential. And this kind of work can help unpack some of that.
Yeah, it is incredibly powerful. I honestly, I wish we had all day to talk about it. You and I will catch up again. Yeah. Right now, let's assume other people are ready. I love what you said, by the way. I want to take a beat on this. You said, if you show up inspired, something to the effect, you show up inspired, you'll inspire.
Yes, absolutely.
So to the audience who are ready to be inspired and to inspire, how can they get deeper into the world of Dion McIntosh and learn more about you personally and also your professional services?
So I think the best thing, I have a website, dionmcintosh.com. I have some social stuff, which is meet Dion everywhere. Not like meat, like steak, but come meet me.
Yeah.
I promise I'll start posting some more stuff with Jeff's help and guidance, because I don't post enough. I don't post anything really, but you can find me there. And then I also just published my first book. So you can find that on Amazon. It's called Stop Being Invisible: How to Build and Start Building a Human Brand of Greater Influence. And it's great. It covers a lot of the foundational stuff I'm talking about to just get you started on this work, starting to uncover some of this stuff for yourself and cut away the things that aren't you. And so you can find that on Amazon. And then I'll be launching the Bad People Show, which is a podcast show here soon. You can find all that on my website. I'll be posting stuff there. And yeah, that's how you find me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats on the book. By the way, I actually love that you're not like a big social posting 10 times a day, quote, perceived, authority from influencer from that standpoint, because it's what you said. You don't have to be that guy to be wildly successful in a business. I mean, you still have, billionaire clients and athlete clients. And I know, music producer clients. And your business is fine without you posting 10 times a day on Instagram.
Yeah. My brand is very intentional with who it's for. And they're very aware of my existence. And it's all referral business, get phone calls all the time. Hey, my buddy just launched a company and he wants some help on getting their story clear or whatever. All that business comes in. And so I'm living my best life. I'm happy and fulfilled. And, I'm relatively unknown from a general public perspective, but very well known in the groups that I want to be known in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I've made the decision for my business that I want to create a movement that essentially requires very broad mass awareness. And so I'm having to do a certain amount of, I'll tell you guys, it's a lot of work. Don't whimsically choose a business that requires you to be omnipresent on social media unless you're willing to do the work, because it's a lot. And I've chosen that because of the movement and the mission that I'm trying to create. But it by no means is required. I saw a great thing on I don't know, it was like on Instagram, I'm sure, the other day that was like, anybody ever seen a Lamborghini TV commercial? Maybe it's because Lamborghini's target audience isn't sitting around watching TV.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? That's
good.
Deal.
That's great.
You don't need to post to Instagram 9 times a day, because billionaire tech CEOs aren't scrolling Instagram 9 times a day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's funny, dude. You said it's funny because now we're launching a do-it-yourself branding company. My partners and I decided we want to reach more people, like you just said about your business. There's just so many humans that are, I don't want to say being misled. I don't like focusing on the negative, but they're just not doing the optimal things like we just talked about.
They're
unclear. And so we want to help more people get clear, but not everyone can afford to come to Bad People and do all this crazy high-end stuff. So I am launching a smaller program to help people do that. And so I will start posting and being more visible for that very reason.
Well, I'm gonna suggest we talk about that, because I might know an organization that has tens of thousands of students that are wanting to learn about such things.
Wow, I would love to meet that person.
Imagine that. I should make an introduction. Oh man, this has been tremendous. Dion, I just appreciate you. I'm stoked to hear about your book. I'm going to go check it out on Amazon. Tell me again the title.
It's called Stop Being Invisible: Start Building a Human Brand of Greater Influence.
So good. So good. I think you used that exact line with me 2.5 years ago. So.
I've been saying it over and over, so finally wrote a book about it.
That's so good, man. Well, dude, thank you again for being a guest on Millionaire Secrets. Thank you to the audience out there. Like, again, this is, I literally forgot at one point, Dion, that we were even on a podcast or show right now. I was like, we're just talking. And now I'm like, wait, remember, I got to wrap this up. There's a show happening. So this has just been amazing. And thank you for being a guest. Any parting thoughts before I wrap?
No, I appreciate you having me. And I want to tell you that, I'm so passionate about what I do, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to share that with more people, because it's fulfilling the thing that fills my soul. It lets me share that information. And I also just want to say thank you for what you do and what you're doing for people. We need more humans like you out on the front lines. You sacrifice so much to put this information out and help people. And I really respect you and appreciate that. And so when I launch my show, I want to have you on it.
I'd be honored, man. I would. Thank you.
All right,
Yeah. And again, to the audience, you guys are the reason that all this happens. And I appreciate you so much. Dion, my friend, and Millionaire Secrets audience, we will talk again soon.
Take care. Thanks, man.
Thank you for watching Millionaire Secrets. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and leave us a comment below. And don't forget, Millionaire Secrets is available on all the major podcast platforms as well. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you can listen on the go. Thanks for watching.